Hello, my name is Pashupatinath. I'm the lineage authority of a very ancient school of yoga called Trilok Akhada, which was established by the founder of yoga, Shankarnath, 17,000 years ago. In my last podcast, I spoke about the two limiting beliefs. While it's very good to know what limits us, it's even better to know what grows us, what takes us beyond what we believe is possible. For this, we must understand how our senses work. We depend on our senses to give us a picture of reality. I depend on my skin and my muscles to feel the ground upon which I'm sitting or standing, and it gives me a feedback. I don't know if the ground is slippery or if it's cold or if it's rough. What kind of step do I take next? It's calculated automatically. But do we really understand this system? Do we understand how complex it is? A lot of neuroscientists are studying day and night, researching on how our brain works, how does consciousness actually work. While many neuroscientists are of the belief that consciousness is produced by the brain, there are a few exceptions, like Ibn Alexander, for example, who during his research fell into a coma and realized that he was conscious, even though his colleagues thought that he wasn't conscious. But he was conscious nevertheless. And he says that the world he went to was proof of heaven. He even wrote a book called Proof of Heaven. So, are the senses reporting to the consciousness? And is the consciousness in the brain? Now, if there's even one exception to the rule, then we can very much doubt the rule. And there have been more than one exception of people going into comas who come out and say that they were conscious all the while. And so, when the brain is so-called brain dead, we are still conscious. So there is a consciousness to which the senses seem to be reporting. We all know the five senses, we are sure about them. Wikipedia informs me there are more than 20 senses, like sense of balance, sense of temperature, and so on and so forth. But we can clump all of them into what we call feeling. And then you've got sight, sound, hearing, smell, taste. So sight, hearing, smell, taste, and feeling. Five senses. But yoga goes in and defines two more senses called nyaya, which means logic, and vidya, which means learning. Now, vidya is referred to before you conclude what you're sensing. So, for example, what you're expecting plays a great role in what you're sensing, and this is what magicians, street magicians use all the time. They get you to expect something while they do something else, and then when you see the result, you're very surprised because you did not expect it. But if they did not create the vidya, what you expected or what you believed would happen, if they did not create belief that something else would happen, then what they did would have no impact, right? If what you saw a magician do was exactly what you believed would happen, for example, he takes a card and gives it to you, and then you believe there's no way that he's going to figure out what that card is, and then he fishes out that card from somewhere. Sometimes he throws the cards at a window. I've seen this on TV. And your card is sticking on the other side of the window. Now, that's something you didn't expect. So certainly he's built up your expectations to not expect what is going to happen. And if you did expect that, then you wouldn't be surprised. You said, this is no magic trick. I knew this would happen. So we go through life the same way, saying, what I expect to happen is going to happen. And sometimes we've built up negative expectations of a thing. And when we know that this thing is not going to go our way, we start to feel distress. That's what happens. So now, is the feeling reporting to the senses? Is the sense of feeling reporting to the consciousness? Or is the consciousness itself creating the feeling? Are your senses traveling backwards? Is what you see what you believe, or what you believe what you see? It turns out it's what you believe is what you see. Unless it's so far apart that you need to be jerked into it. Even then, if somebody believes in something, let's say someone believes in God, and you may show them many proofs that God doesn't exist in the way that they imagine, yet they will continue to believe in God. When he's in trouble, he will still call upon God, no matter what you say to him. If somebody believes that they're a good person and will not murder someone else, even if there's a reason for them to murder someone, and that person is going to murder them, they won't be able to murder the other person who's going to kill them. They still won't be able to. Because they just think that to murder someone is wrong. That's a belief. If somebody believes that dogs are very dangerous, then he's going to go into a cold sweat and palpitations every time he sees a dog. No matter how friendly the dog is, you may prove again and again that the dog is very friendly and he will not go towards it. It's the same with phobia of water. Try to get someone with a phobia of water to get into the swimming pool, which you know there are no sharks in it. There's nothing there that can harm them. And it's the shallow end of the swimming pool where you're going to be head above water. So you're really not going to drown. There's no way you can drown. Even if you slip and fall, you can just stand back up. And yet, the person will refuse to enter the water. So, think phobias and see how people are refusing to update their beliefs even when presented with evidence. So we think that beliefs are updated by evidence. They are not updated by evidence. Beliefs are updated by doubt. And doubting is a skill. A very important skill of a yogi is the ability to doubt. And to use it skillfully, not to use it recklessly. If you start doubting things that you needn't doubt, then you'll be in a mess. if you start doubting whether the floor is solid, and you won't be able to take a step forward because you're not sure if you'll sink into it. It can happen. It does happen. People flip a switch and then they start to doubt reality, the way they understand it. And then it's very difficult for them to do day-to-day things. And these are mental disorders that happen. So you must be very careful about your ability to doubt. It has to be used with great skill. And you have to practice your ability to doubt something. It's a certain state of body. You don't need proof to doubt something, You cannot introduce doubt into someone's mind who's decided to believe in something like God, for example, or has decided to believe that dogs are dangerous. You can't do much to introduce doubt into their mind unless they're open to it. So the key to introduce doubt is to be open to it. This requires an opening of your body. You must open your body in order to introduce doubt. If your body remains closed, you bring your arms together, you cross your legs and drop your chin, you're not going to be able to doubt anything. You're going to maintain the status quo of whatever you believe. An open body language would be your shoulders thrown back, your legs uncrossed, your chin up and your body leaning forward. Practice this posture. It's the posture of doubt. It's where you open yourself out to other possibilities than what you now have concluded is the only possibility. This is what doubting is. So if you open your heart, you change the frequency that comes out from your heart. And then you change your beliefs or your vidya. And when your beliefs change, your logic will change. Logic is fully dependent upon the beliefs that you have. Logic is what makes inferences. You can take a part and it creates something called closure for your senses. With your senses, you can sense that there is a blade of grass lying near your foot. Now this must mean that there are more blades of grass growing around you. Or you see a particular plant that you recognize, you see only one of it, and then you realize that if you walk a bit more, you might see some more. This is logic. You find a few drops of rain falling, and then your logic concludes that it's going to pour now in some time as you see the sky is blackening, and then you make a run for it. Run for shelter. So we always predict the future based upon the logic stored within us, and the logic depends upon our beliefs. So the guy who sees the dog is making a conclusion, nyaya. He's using logic to conclude that the dog is going to bite him. Well, this is based on his beliefs. It's really not based on any facts or any data that he's gathered from outside. Okay? Now, the ability to gather data from outside is called pingala. The ability to gather data from inside, from the belief end, is called idagala in yoga. These are two streams of flow of information